Hello and welcome to my presentation of the potential positive and negative psychological effects of anabolic-androgenic steroids, also known as AAS. Anabolic-androgenic steroids are the source of much controversy and debate as they become popular within both the sporting and recreational fields. AAS are a diverse group of synthetic substances that mimic the male hormone testosterone. All AAS have both anabolic muscle building and androgenic masculizing effects. These substances are specifically designed so that their presence in the bloodstream is prolonged and help to retain dietary protein, therefore aiding in the growth of bone, muscle, and skin. AAS are not usually taken orally or can be directly injected into the muscle. They are taken in cycles. This refers to a pattern of use which steroids are taken for a number of weeks or months and then use is stopped for a period of time before restarting again. It is also common for users to combine different types of steroids together in what is often referred to as stacking. This trend is used to maximize the effectiveness of steroids. The use of steroids for performance and physical enhancing properties has been associated with a diverse range of individuals. They are most commonly associated with the use by bodybuilders who use AAS to increase muscle power and strength, as well as for aesthetic reasons to enhance their physical physique. Athletes can also use steroids for performance gains in believing that it will give them the edge to win, and are particularly used in sports where athletes require both strength and speed, such as cycling or athletics. However, the presence of recreational AAS users are increasing as individuals are motivated by increases in muscle mass, strength, and enhancing their physique. A study in 2007 showed the typical AAS user was a Caucasian, male, highly educated, professionally employed, and approximately 30 years old, earning above the average wage and not involved in organized sports. However, steroids still remain illegal outside of a clinical setting and are banned by the World Anti-Doping Agency. In recent years, we have seen many athletes such as Lance Armstrong and Marion Jones come under much public embarrassment when admitting to steroid use while competing in their sports. Athletes caught using steroids face consequences such as suspension and removal of awards. The American National Strength and Conditioning Agency has also released a position statement rejecting the use of anabolic steroids based on ethics, fair sportsmanship, and potential health risks. The use of anabolic steroids have been associated with a diverse range of effects, and often the physiological effects are accompanied by the psychological. Many of the studies in recent years have documented both positive and negative effects. Often the reasons stated by users for initiating AAS use is based on psychological effects, including increased self-confidence and peer pressure. In 2009, a study conducted by Graham, Evans, Davies and Baker showed that women who had been sexually abused were more likely to report AAS use as they believed they would be bigger and stronger and better able to defend themselves in future. A number of studies have documented the psychological benefits of anabolic steroid use and are often associated with perceived improvements in an individual's physique. Positive psychological effects can include increased confidence, increased self-esteem, feelings of invincibility, increased alertness and concentration, and increased academic performance. A study in 2010 conducted by Vassilo and Ulrich, interviewed 39 male AAS users concerning the impact upon psychological functioning. It was found that 37 of the 39 participants reported an increase in perceived levels of self-confidence. Participants also reported a perceived increase in academic performance, athletic prowess, and feelings of invincibility. It was also highlighted that upon the completion of an AAS cycle, that self-confidence levels dropped down to or below pre-AAS levels, demonstrating the positive psychological effects AAS use had on users. Furthermore, another study also showed the positive psychological effects of steroid use. This study investigated the possible psychological effects of AAS use and the intentions for future long-term use. This study showed that 88.1% of participants experienced enhanced self-esteem, 64.1% of participants had feelings of more power over others while using AAS, and 55.4% of participants experienced better concentration, while only 2.2% of participants reported that AAS had no psychological effects. Despite many studies documenting the positive psychological effects of AAS use, literature increasingly supports the negative psychological effects of AAS use. These include mood swings, aggression, irritability, feelings of guilt, mania, depression, dependence, and withdrawal. Increased aggression and irritability are the most frequent reported negative effects of AAS use. AAS has been reported to occasionally trigger violent acts in individuals that have not been previously known to exhibit aggressive personality tendencies. Aggression can manifest itself in fighting, physical and sexual abuse, armed robbery, property crimes, and AAS users who had committed such crimes previously reported they engaged in such behaviours more frequently when taking steroids. A study in 2006 also evaluated the psychological effects of self-administered AAS use. Psychological effects of AAS users, Group C, were compared to the psychological effects of a placebo group, Group B, and a control group, Group A. The results of this study indicated that AAS had induced increased aggression, increased hostility, and criticism of others, paranoia, feelings of guilt and depression, while there was no significant increase in the psychological effects of Group A and B. Negative psychological effects of users largely depends on the dose of steroids, and it is often difficult to assess whether the negative psychological effects are due from AAS use or due to underlying psychological and psychosocial factors. In a study by Sari in 2010, it was also documented that steroid use have been found to experience more social problems, have higher negative problems in school, disconnectedness with family, and experience higher rate of physical and mental abuse in their childhood. Hence, demonstrating social factors are also important when looking at negative behaviours of AAS users. Like any drug, AAS has the potential to become addictive, and many users may experience some kind of dependence. Psychological dependence occurs when an individual cannot control the use of drugs due to psychological components. Users of AAS experience enhanced physical appearance, obtaining personal goals, increased recognition by peers, increased self-confidence and self-esteem, and just as some of the good feelings AAS users experience, and they can become addicted to these feelings, and they can be the reason for continued AAS use. In a study by Ulrich and Vasillo, 39 male AAS users were interviewed regarding the impact of AAS use and it was stated that all participants believed that AAS was addictive, even if they had not experienced one personally. AAS users may also experience withdrawal symptoms at the termination of a cycle. These include depression, fatigue, and cravings. As discussed in this presentation of anabolic-androgenic steroids can induce both negative and positive psychological effects and can be seen even after use has been terminated. The extent of the effects depend on the type, combination of AAS, doses, and duration that they are taken. However, most of the literature found today focuses on the negative psychological effects and the potential for dependency to occur. Thank you for listening to my presentation. The last few slides are just the references used throughout this presentation.